Hello and welcome to another midweek edition of Championship Predictions from the On Sport podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody. We will do a recap of the weekend edition in the next weekend edition of Championship Predictions, but we are recording this on Sunday, and there are still 2 games to go. However, there are 4 games in this midweek, and we are starting off with Cardiff City. They're at home to Coventry City at the Cardiff City Stadium. Coventry were the away team. They won 3-2 away as well at Reading, and Cardiff lost 2-1 away to Millwall. Cardiff disappointing, felt a little bit tired. Coventry, another away win.
Yeah, for Coventry, a good result. Obviously, the red card was influential again at 2-2, scoring directly after, but it wasn't a vintage performance. It was a pretty even game, and it was a lot more even than I expected it to be, given how Reading have been in recent weeks. But we do know that Reading are poor at the back, and Coventry, fair play, took advantage. Cardiff, late consolation, but let's be honest, they weren't really ever in the game. It looked fairly comfortable for Millwall. I know Cardiff had more of the chances. They had counter-attacks, but we've said this all season. It's great having all those chances, but they've not really had that cutting edge for a large part. They've been an awful defensive team for the most part. And then, look, James Collins hasn't really got going. Kiefer Moore's gone now. Hugo's come in, made an instant impact, Anuche as well, but they're not a team that's got consistency in them. And away from home, bar Barnsley in recent weeks, they haven't actually won a game. They lost at Bristol City, they let in 3. They lost at Liverpool, great side, I know, but let in 3. They don't concede as many at home. I'm going to go for them to get a victory. I'm very sorry to Coventry fans because I know I'm going to get slated, but I'm going to go for Cardiff to win because they've been good at home recently. They've battered Peterborough. They got a good win against Forest. I'm going to go 2-1 because Coventry, they still didn't completely convince me.
Going the opposite way, I'm going Coventry to win. They ground out that 3-2 win against Reading. Obviously, I really think it was a 3-2 game. Well, we would have predicted that. But yeah, they got that victory back on the winning road. Cardiff, I thought they were a little bit sloppy, probably a little bit tired, and Millwall took full strength. We're going to get onto Millwall in a minute. But yeah, I think I'm going to go complete opposite what you said. I'm going to go Coventry to win 2-0. Right, next up is Millwall. They are playing QPR in a London derby. Obviously said Millwall beat Cardiff 2-1. QPR, a 1-0 defeat away at Barnsley. And let's be brutally honest, Barnsley deserved to win it.
Yeah, and equally, no one in the world will have predicted that, I don't think. So
accumulator buster, that was. Accumulator
definitely.
Buster.
It was a big surprise. QPR, they had a chance to really knock on the door of the top 2 with that as well, but I don't know how to judge their weekend performances into this game because Millwall QPR is obviously a London derby. It's normally quite a feisty game. It's normally quite a close game regardless. QPR, the issue with QPR is they played into Barnsley's hands. Barnsley let them have the ball. And it almost worked out the opposite way I expected. I thought Barnsley would have a bit more possession as we saw the week before against Luton. And then QPR would just hit them on the counter. But it ended up being the complete opposite game. So I'll hold my hands up to that one. Millwall, good win. Look, they didn't dominate the game by any means, but they were ruthless. And when Millwall are at their best, they can do that. They're unbeaten in 3 home league games now, which against West Brom, Preston and Cardiff is no mean feat, in particular the first 2. I have to back Millwall to edge it, because QPR, 3 games without a win now. Millwall decent at home. I'm going to go 1-0. I think it's going to be a really boring game.
Ooh, we're going to go off again. I'm going to go this time for a draw in this game. Championship favourite scoreline of 1-1. QPR obviously need to bounce back. Obviously, they weren't great against Barnsley. I think pretty poor performance. Millwall, on the other, good performance. Took the 2-0 lead. They'd be disappointed that they didn't keep a clean sheet in the end. And Millwall has that tendency to turn a surprise performance in, get that victory when we don't really think they're going to get that victory. I think a draw will be a fair result. Tuesday night on the lights, New Den. QPR would be very happy to go back from the east to the west with a point. Right, next up is Sheffield United. They're at home to Hull City. Sheffield United drew 0-0 away at Huddersfield. Hull lost 1-0 to Fulham. Sheffield United pretty lucky to go away there with a point, considering the goal that got chalked off for Huddersfield. Hull put a spirited performance, but not enough against Fulham.
No, but a big improvement from the derby game. It is still 3 defeats in a row regardless, but it wasn't a dominant display from Fulham, which is what we would have expected against Hull City. So they did well to contain them to an extent. But
you said 4-0 Fulham.
I did, and I'll hold my hands up again. But a lot of people will have thought that would be 3, 4, 5, and God knows what else. But Hull, to be fair, it was more of a Grant McCann-like performance than what we'll probably expect going forward. They were very solid defensively. They did create a couple of openings, but maybe signs that the goals are going to start to dry up again after that little purple patch with a new owner. And similar for Sheffield United, it was I know you mentioned about the chalked off goal, but other than that, it was a pretty drab game, let's be honest. And whenever Sky pick a TV game, you almost know it's going to be 1 or 2 goals at the most. So no surprises there. Sheffield United, the positive is that's another clean sheet, and that's now 4 in 5 since that Preston game where they threw away the 2 goals. I think that's a really, really strong month for Paul Heckingbottom. And Huddersfield, we keep undervaluing them. They're a top 6 side at the moment, so that's a good point regardless. I think Sheffield United are going to win. I think they'll have too much for Hull. It's not going to be big margins again. And I know last week was an exception, but I'm going low scoring. 2-0 Sheffield United. I think they'll just carve open Hull a couple of times.
Yeah, I probably would have gone 2-0 to Sheffield United. I'm going to go 3-1 instead to Sheffield United. Yeah, obviously Hull put up a spirited performance. Obviously, it got undone by a fantastic header by Mitrovic. Sheffield United, I'm going to talk about this because they got away. I say they got away with it because if you look on it, the defender throws a strike into the keeper, who obviously the keeper's going to have to land at some point. And the referee, and obviously you say goalkeepers are protected too much, but that's not, it's not the attacker's fault that he's collided into the goalkeeper because he's been dragged down to the goalkeeper. So they got away with that. Other than that, nothing really happened in that game. And Huddersfield will feel hard done by not claiming 3 points. But it is, as you said, another clean sheet, another point on the board for Sheffield United, another point closer to the playoffs. And there'll be another, I think it'll be another 3 points for them into the playoffs this time. I think they're going to win 3-1. Right, final game, big game down at the bottom of the championship. It is Peterborough United versus Reading. Peterborough lost 1-0 to Preston, which gave me 3 points. Spoiler alert. And Reading lost 3-2 at home to Coventry. Obviously, both these teams not in good form. And I keep saying Peterborough need to pick up points at home. Well, obviously, both these teams need to pick up points. So do you expect to be a drab 0-0 or a 4-4?
Very tough to tell because if you actually look at that game, Peterborough had a number of chances. They were the dominant side against Preston. And just one of the things you don't expect from Peterborough, I guess, for all of their defensive frailties, you expect them to score goals occasionally, particularly at home with the strike force they've got. I know only Johnson Clark-Harris started and then Marriott, Ricky J. Jones, the lights came off the bench, but it was a game that I think if they had another 2 or 3 times, they'll probably score 2 or 3 goals. And they're up against a Reading side that's going to be heartbroken after that game. They're going to have another key player out in Hoylett after the red cards. They've managed to pick up another defeat. And if Peterborough win this, they've got the added carrot of a game in hand and knowing Reading are in the relegation zone below them. So with Reading's defensive record, there's no way I'm predicting them to keep a clean sheet because that is 17 goals in 6 games. And that's after the Fulham one's dropped off. So I have to back Peterborough. If they play as well as they did going forward against Preston and take their chances, they'll win. And they're going to win handsomely. I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1 to
that isn't happening, is it?
not 3-1. I'm going to go 1-0 to Peterborough. I'm going to go pretty safe in that one. Yeah, I think if obviously Peterborough do it, it makes that race to the bottom 3 very, very interesting. With Barnsley winning and Derby getting hammered, it's making it a little bit more interesting again. So yeah, I think Peterborough have to turn on the style. They have to win. They have to. I keep saying this every prediction. They have to win. This is a game they really have to win. It's a must-win game. It's a 6-pointer down the bottom. Reading totally out of form. They're scoring goals. They're conceding far too many for my liking. Both teams have to win. I'm going to tip for Peterborough to win by the odd goal.
I've got to say quickly, Craig, just before you do your roundup, these 2 defences, I missed the stat. I'd put it down at the start. Joint worst defence in the league, 60 goals conceded each.
Well, why do you think I said 4-all? So it wouldn't surprise me. It could be 7-all, could be 6-4.
Could be any score this game.
Could be any score line. So that's on Wednesday. Keep an eye out for that. Let's have a quick recap of what we just predicted in these 4 games. We've gone totally opposites. Cody's going for a Cardiff win against Coventry. I'm going for Coventry to win that one. He's also going for a Millwall win. I think that's going to be a draw. But we both agree that Sheffield United and Peterborough will beat Hull and Reading respectively. And those are our predictions for this midweek in the Championship. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comments and give your predictions. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football 3. And we'll see you next time.